Semiconductor stock investors, including in companies like Nvidia and AMD, got great news this morning as President Trump clarified some of the tariffs that will be implemented coming soon. So the developments were good news. I'm going to discuss why they were good news and what it means for Nvidia stock and AMD stock investors. I quickly wanted to let everyone know about this great offer for my channel members at the investor tier. You can gain access to my spreadsheet containing my ratings on over 130 stocks. I update this spreadsheet with multiple times and multiple changes per day, Monday through Friday. Additionally, channel members at the investor tier can get access to my spreadsheet with my discounted cash flow valuations, and I update this spreadsheet multiple times per week with multiple new companies added to this spreadsheet with discounted cash flow valuations. There's already dozens on the spreadsheet available now. You can get all this plus early access videos, plus member exclusive videos, plus priority response to comments, all for less than $15 per month. So what are you waiting for? Hit that join button below and start experiencing the benefits. So looking at the price action today, you can see that semiconductor stock investors really liked the developments this morning. The overall semiconductor ETF SMH was up 3% as of this recording on Monday, March 24th. It's about 9:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Nvidia stock is up 3.5%. AMD stock is up over 6.7%. So the reason for these advancements is the current president, Donald Trump, as you might already be aware, has been announcing sweeping tariffs across the board on several nations in several product categories, and semiconductors had been caught in the mix. The president had announced an industry-wide tariff of 25%, which would have been really bad news, or could have been really bad news for Nvidia and AMD, since they manufacture nearly all of their chips overseas with Taiwan Semiconductor. And so if there was a sweeping 25% industry tariff, that could have implicated these two companies in creating an increase of 25% in the cost of goods they manufacture overseas. Now, there was a lot of moving parts, and it was still really uncertain if they were going to be hit with that full 25% impact. But that was looming large over some semiconductor stock investors in these companies who were concerned that the costs of goods would increase for these two. Now, they could have offset some of those factors by shifting some of their manufacturing domestically, although that would have also raised costs anyhow. So tariffs are always going to increase costs for businesses. And then businesses will have the choice to charge higher prices to the people that are buying their products because they are experiencing higher costs. But when they increase the prices that they charge their customers, it's not for certain that the customers will still buy their products. Their customers might say, you know what, at this new higher price, instead of buying 100 units, we're only going to buy 90 units or 80 units or whatever the case might be. So the consequences of these tariffs were going to be negative. It was just a matter of how negative would they be, how much of an impact would they have. And that had been looming on these companies. As you are probably aware, Nvidia stock has been underperforming so far in 2025. AMD stock has been underperforming as well. Part of the reason was the potential impacts of tariffs, but not just the specific semiconductor tariffs. There's been broader tariffs announced. And so the total impact of all of these tariffs were so uncertain, but investors knew that it was going to be negative. They were just trying to calculate just how negative it's going to be. But what we got this morning from President Donald Trump and the administration was that these tariffs, the impacts were narrowed. So they're not as large as previously expected. Still, there's a lot of question mark, a lot of uncertainty surrounding how much, which companies, which countries, which industries, how long, and is there going to be any exemptions, etc., etc. So many question marks. And so the market's been moving based off of these announcements from the administration more so than ever before. I've talked about this factor in a few other videos, highlighting to investors that macroeconomic policy, geopolitical policy, is going to play an increased role in stock market returns in the current administration because of how important tariffs are to a company's bottom line. If you increase a company's cost of goods sold by 25%, that's a big jump in their bottom line. Some companies, they don't even have a 25% net profit margin. So a 25% increase in their cost of goods sold would immediately turn a company into a money losing company unless they take some offsetting actions like raising prices or shifting manufacturing to other locations or making deals with their suppliers to absorb some of those higher costs. Regardless, it's going to have a big impact. And so these factors are going to play an increasing role. And the news we got today, while it was a relief and you're seeing the markets react in this sort of a relief rally, it's too soon to jump to the conclusion and just be completely comfortable that, okay, this tariff threat is behind us. It's really not. It's going to be around for a while with this current administration. But as a long-term investor, the current administration, remember, presidents are only supposed to be in power for 4 years and then a maximum of 8 years. And so a business is around for decades, perhaps centuries, right? So we have to take a longer term view and see these near term headwinds as what they are, just near term headwinds that could be reversed by the next administration. So it shouldn't impact the business in the very, very long term, although in the near term, it will have huge implications in terms of the company's profit margins and the cost of goods sold and the resulting negotiations between a company and its suppliers and a company and its buyers. But unquestionably, today's news was good, and Nvidia and AMD stock are benefiting as a result. Of course, I'm happy about that. I have Nvidia stock rated as one of my top 9 stocks to buy right now. I have AMD stock also rated as one of my top 9 stocks to buy right now. As you can see, they're both benefiting from the news this morning. But even after these gains, I still feel these two stocks are undervalued. They're trading at relatively low forward price to earnings ratios. And if you've seen my videos on the discounted cash flows of these two companies, which I'll link to at the end of this one, according to my DCFs, they are also undervalued on that perspective as well. So, regardless of how I look at these two companies, while there are significant near term risks and headwinds, longer term, they seem like a great risk versus reward for investors. And today was a positive momentum move for these companies. At least the threat is a little bit lowered today, but it could be increased tomorrow or next week, right? Based on the kind of mood the president and the president's administration is in during that time. So don't get too excited. Don't get too relieved by these upswings. And also don't get too discouraged when the prices fall, when the threats of tariffs look even higher than they are today. So I would see these as like contrarian indicators when they are increasing as a result of the announcement of relief. You may want to fade those days, and then when you see significant negative sentiment and the prices fall, those could be great buying opportunities. And Nvidia and AMD, I already mentioned, I feel they are undervalued. So this year or these next several months could be an opportunity to accumulate shares of these excellent companies. And they will face headwinds, and so you'll be able to have an opportunity to buy these stocks at relatively lower valuations for an extended period of time as these uncertainties remain in the market and create hesitancy from several stock market investors. And so that can be an opportunity to accumulate shares in these semiconductor stocks like Nvidia and AMD. Before I let you go, let me tell you about the greatest deal on YouTube. With just a click of a button, you can get free financial analysis from a professor with decades of investing experience. So what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you again soon.